Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday morning, and I'm back with the summer card of the Seasons series that I was making. I did make the card last night, and I recorded the video, but something happened to it and it stopped halfway through, and I never noticed. So I can share the card with you that we're going to be making today. It just means that I had prepped this card previously, and now I'm going to have to make it from scratch. So it might be a little bit longer of a video. There might be places in where I can speed things up a little bit so that it's not so boring for you. But I'll run through the materials that we're going to be using to create this card today, and I'll get on with it. So I'll leave that there so we can refer back to that. Now, I've got my piece of white cardstock here, and it's 13 inches by 4, scored at 6.5 to make a 6.5 by 4 card. So that's the card base, and that's a nice heavyweight white cardstock. I'm going with Studio Calico's Sundrifter collection pad again for this card. So I'm going to have to slightly switch out the papers that I used from the original card. On the original card I had used this polka dot as the background, and on this card here I'm going to be using a script. It's still in the yellow and kind of pinky colour, so it'll tie in okay, and I should get away with using the scrap that was left over from the sheet of paper here that I used as the top layer. What else are we going to be using today? We're going to be using various different inks. I'm going to be dyeing this piece of fabric, vintage cotton fabric from Lavish Laces, and that's going to be getting dyed with Scattered Straw and Stampin' Up's Crisp Cantaloupe. So we'll be able to do that from start to finish as well. And then I've also got I'll be using these butterflies, and it's a butterfly grab bag from Tando Creative, and it gives you various different sizes of butterflies. And the one that we're going to be using for the card today is this one here. So this butterfly will be getting dyed with Wild Honey, Scattered Straw and Barn Door. And once I've scuffed up the edges of the patterned paper, they're going to be getting edged in Versacolour Cinnamon. I'm also going to be using Distress Stickles Dry Glitter in Clear Rock Candy. Oh, I got there in the end. So I'm going to be putting this around the edges of the butterfly's wings, using Glossy Accents as the adhesive. And I'm also going to be using a stamp set from a company called Clearly Besotted, and it's their A Little Sentimental stamp set, and it's got some great sayings on it. And I'm going to be using Hero Art's Mid-Tone Shadow Ink Cup of Joe to stamp the sentiment. Right, and we're also going to be using a swatch of muslin fabric, and we're also maybe going to be using some crocheted lace. So I'm going to crack on with this card and see how we get on. I just need to be mindful, and I think yesterday I set something up on top of my laptop that maybe knocked it off, so I'm going to take everything that's on top of my laptop off so that it doesn't interfere with the video, and cancel the recording. So we're okay so far. Righty-ho, let's get started. So I'm going to get the paper cut first of all, and I'm going to be using my Stampin' Up trimmer, and this first card is going to be getting cut at 6 inches by 3 3/4, and the second piece is going to be getting cut at let's just see how much we can get with this, 2 3/4 by 4, no, 4.5, 4 3/4, no, I'll make it 5. I'll make it 5. I can always chop it down later. No, that's perfect. Okay, so that's the cutting done. Let me just set my trimmer aside. First of all, get my card out of the way so I don't get it covered in ink. I'm going to scuff up the edges of the cardstock with this Prima Distress tool. And it's quite stormy today here. I'm up in my little shed stroke workshop at the top of my garden, and it's a bit wild. We're supposed to be getting 70-mile-an-hour winds today, but I don't think they've been that bad yet. I think it's working its way across the country, so we might get it around mid to late afternoon. Okay, so that's our edges scuffed. Now what I'm going to do is just go on and ink the edges with this little chalk ink, and I just dab it on. Sometimes you'll get little white bits, but that's fine. It's one piece. And the other piece. Okay. Righty-ho, so that's our 2 pieces scuffed and inked, and they can just get set aside just now. And we move on to the next part. Okay, so you're going to need a heat tool for this part. Just plug mine in. And I'm going to do the butterfly. So I'm going to put down some barn door. In fact, no, I'm going to put down the scattered straw, the wild honey, and then the barn door round about the edges. And then I'm going to spray some water, and in fact I might want some more of this in here. And what we're going to do is take the white side, because the other side is chipboard, use the white side and just dip it down and smoosh it around in the ink, and then lift it over. And I just like to sometimes tap off the excess, and then I'm going to heat set that. I'm knocking everything over with a cable here. So I'm just going to, what I'll need is a bit of cardboard. I'm going to set that on the cardboard to give me something to hold, rather than it melt my mat underneath the protective mat. Okay, so this is the first dipping, if you like, and I'm going to stick it in again and try and get that bit that I missed. There we are. And then I'm going to pop this back on here, because you get different results every time. And then just dry this off. Now I have a little, there we go, just dabbed a little bit of that off on a scrap bit doily that I had. Okay, so that's the second dipping, if you like. Now what I want to do now is just catch these little spots around the edges. Pop that in there, and pop that there and there. And that's the next one. And then I just want some more kind of splodges. I'll try and catch this bit here. Just dry that. And try and get this bit here. Oh. I think that'll probably do after this. I don't want too big of splotches on it. And what I'm going to do is get a baby wipe and clean that up. Because what I want to do is get the barn door again and try and get some little droplets for this other side here. And gently drop that in there. That's better. It's just building nice rich summer colours. Okay, so I'm going to leave that aside now and clear up this bit. Somebody's been murdered on my mat. Get another piece. There we go. So the next thing I need to do is dye my fabric. Now I don't need a huge big piece, so I'm just going to cut some off here. I think that should be adequate for what we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to smoosh some crisp cantaloupe onto my mat. There we go. I always get the ink on my fingers from the Stampin' Up! Ink pads. And then this one is scattered straw, so I'm just going to pop scattered straw down the outside edge there. And again, I'm going to wet my fabric a little bit and then smoosh some on there. So I need see, this is how my fingers go, always end up getting dyed. And I don't want to use that. Just using a little crown pin to drag it through the colour. And then I'm just going to dab a little bit directly onto the bits that's missed, just to give it some extra colour. Okay, so that's the reverse side that you're seeing. So what I'm going to do is just pop that onto this bit of card just now and clean this up, because what I plan to do is kind of lift up my mat as I'm drying the fabric. Pop that there. Okay, so I'm trying to protect my mat. I really should get a wood block up here, and that's something I plan to do soon, so that when I lift this up off my surface, it's not going to warp my mat underneath. And then I'm just drying this off. Just going to switch that off for a second and turn it over. And this is the right side that we're seeing just now. You can see that there, that's what it's kind of going to look like. Okay, I think we're done. Yep. So there we have it. Let me just put this on this white piece of cardstock. So you can now see that we've got our piece of fabric stained and the right colour that we're after. So I think it's just a case of assembling the card now. I've got the other one here so that I know what I'm building. It might be slightly different, so I need to see if I can try and find a bit of scalloped lace that I put on at the bottom of the card. It's not quite the same, but this piece will do. Okay. Right, so this bit goes on here. But before we do that, I'm going to put our piece of fabric down. I'm not bad at that actually. I'm not going to bother if it actually sticks over the sides a little bit. I quite like that look. And then we've got this little piece of scalloped lace there, and yeah, so I'm going to put that bit down first. I'm going to use my fabric glue. This is an all-purpose glue that's good for laying down fabric to paper. There we go. And what I'm going to do is just run a piece along here and a strip along there. pop this down on top of the card. And the next phase is a piece of the muslin fabric which I have here, which is rather big, so I'm going to cut this down a little bit. And then just take out some of the edges, and that's going to be the next piece. Okay, so I'm just going to dab some little bits of glue over there and pop that on. Then the next stage is I was going to maybe put in some of this pink fabric, but I don't know that you're going to see it through the butterfly. Probably not, but if I do it up and down the way, you might. No, it's a different colour. It's not going to look good. So I'll scrap that idea. And it's just a case of putting the butterfly on. Now I think I've put that on a little bit squint. So I'm going to just peel that off and centre it a little bit better. That's better. There we go. And then it's a case of getting some dimensional adhesives on the back of our butterfly, but I want to put some rock candy glitter onto the edges. So this is going to be the last phase, so let me just get my dimensional adhesives for this part and pop that on. And this goes onto this piece here. There we go. So that's that part done, and then I'm also going to just pop these ones on to the backer, or the base of the top layer. And I'm just going to pop that onto the card. There we go, and that's that onto the card, and now we're just left to do the stamp the sentiment and distress the edges of our butterfly. Pop that over there. Okay, so glossy accents is here, and I just want to put some on the antenna and then around the edge, just a fine bead of glossy accents around that outside edge. And then just pop your butterfly onto a sheet and sprinkle your glitter around the edges. Ping that off, pop it down for a second, pour your glitter back into the tub. Stick the lid back on. Now, we've just got to get, I'm going to leave that there for a little second just to let it set a little bit. Now we just need to get a sentiment along the bottom here. I've actually got one that's already stamped on a scrap piece of paper, which was here. I think I might just use that along the bottom. Because I've got dimensional adhesives on the bottom and I stuck it down before I stamped it, which was the wrong thing to do. So I've cut that down a little bit, but I just need to take a little bit more off of this one here. And then what I'm going to do is just give this a little fishtail banner edge. And then what I'll do is I'll ink it up in the cinnamon chalk ink. There we go. And with it being a long, thin piece, I'm just going to take a line from along the bottom of the Stampin' Up! Dimensional adhesives and pop that on the centre there. Pull our card back down. So although this is slightly different from the original one, it's same but different, if you know what I mean. It will let you see the two different versions. I'm just going to take these dimensional adhesives off the butterfly and then stick that on, and then the card's done. There we go. And that's our card. I just need to screw the edge here. And there you go. So that's the summer seasonal set complete now. That was the first. This is the first one that I made, and that's the second. And I think I like both, but you know that you can see the difference where I've put a little banner on the bottom of one, and then I've just stamped direct onto the bottom of the other one. So that's our set complete. We've got spring, so that was a spring card. That's summer. This is autumn. And then we have winter. And that's the full set. I'm going to be making envelopes for these today. From the same collection pack. of, I got the Sundrifter 12x12 pad, so I've not used this yet, but I will be making envelopes for these cards with the new We Are Memory Keepers envelopes punch board, so I think that'll be my next video. And then probably following that, if I'm feeling adventurous, I'll make the box for the gift set of the 4 cards. So until then, I'll see you probably later on in the week with the envelopes. I'll try and make them today and record the video and get it edited and stick it up midweek. So I'll see you soon, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.